ONIMUSHA Way of the Sword. ONIMUSHA is coming back, and this time it is darker, meaner, and built for next-gen. The game is rumored to take place in a blood-soaked, feudal Japan, haunted by demons summoned through ancient black scrolls. You play as a new warrior whose soul is linked to a cursed blade that feeds on enemies. Sword combat is described as heavy and grounded. Every swing takes stamina. Every parry needs perfect timing. The environments are realistic, with burning villages, fog-soaked mountains, and castles under siege. You can dismember enemies' block arrows with precise timing and even perform brutal finishing moves tied to spirit energy. The mood is bleak. The ghosts whisper, and when you die, the sword remembers you. Little Nightmares 3 continues the surreal terror of the first two games, but now you are not alone. The game introduces online co-op, where two children must work together without speaking in a world built from fear. The levels are twisted versions of reality, like classrooms made of bone and cities built on giant sleeping bodies. You do not fight, you run, you hide, you think. The monsters are bigger, slower, and smarter. They listen for sound and track your scent. The developers promise puzzles that require teamwork and scenes that change depending on who leads. Visuals are darker than ever, using real-time lighting that makes every flicker of shadow feel like a threat. There is no UI, no help, just you, your friend, and the feeling that something terrible is always watching. The game is expected in 2026. Vampire: The Masquerade, Bloodlines 2. Bloodlines 2 has survived years of silence, reboots, and changes, but it is finally coming back. You play as a newly embraced vampire in modern Seattle, thrown into a brutal war between vampire clans fighting for control of the city. The game promises deep narrative freedom with dialogue that changes based on your clan powers and past actions. You can charm humans, terrify them, or feed on them in dark alleyways with no witnesses. The world is alive with underground vampire bars, high-tech security firms, and ancient ruins buried beneath the streets. Combat mixes stealth, brutal melee, and blood-based abilities that warp the battlefield. There is no morality system, just politics, hunger, and survival. The devs claim this version is smaller but more personal, focused on immersion and consequence. You do not just choose sides, you make enemies, and they remember you. Release expected in late 2026 or early 2027. MAFIA: The Old Country takes the series back to its roots with a prequel set in 1960s Empire Bay. You play as a young enforcer working your way up through the Italian-American underworld, where loyalty is earned with blood and betrayal is only one wrong glance away. The world is fully open with period, authentic cars, radios, diners, and back alleys filled with dirty money and crooked cops. You can drive across the city in real time, witness shootings that spark street lockdowns, and take part in organized crime operations that stretch across multiple chapters. Gunplay is grounded with brutal recoil, realistic reloads, and shootouts that last seconds, not minutes. The devs promise a story focused on honor, family, and the cost of rising too fast. The game runs on Unreal Engine 5 with dynamic weather like summer heat waves and winter snow that affects driving and visibility. The tone is mature, the pacing slow, and the violence personal. No superheroes, just a man trying to survive a world that eats its own. Ghost of YOTEI. Ghost of YOTEI is an unannounced but heavily rumored PlayStation exclusive set in feudal Japan during the dead of winter. You play as a lone traveler caught between the spirit world and the living, trapped in a mountain village where the dead whisper through the snow and old gods walk at night. The game focuses on stealth, survival, and atmosphere with heavy inspiration from Japanese folklore. There are no waypoints. You navigate by stars, footprints, and memory. You must stay warm by gathering firewood or risk freezing mid-mission. Spirits react to sound, movement, and even fear. The main mechanic revolves around a cursed blade that feeds on spiritual energy but drains your humanity. The game is said to use full motion capture and real-time snowfall simulation that alters terrain and sound. Each shrine, each cave, and every old path hides either a blessing or a curse. The game is not officially announced, but leakers suggest a reveal in 2026 and release window of 2027. If real, this could be the next Ghost of Tsushima with horror in its blood. Marvel 1943 Rise of HYDRA. Marvel 1943 takes a very different approach to superhero storytelling. Set during World War II, you play as a young Captain America and Black Panther, long before Wakanda was known to the world. The tone is darker, grounded, and inspired by classic war cinema. You fight in bombed-out cities, sabotaged railways, and hidden Hydra facilities buried beneath Europe. Each character has different abilities and moral paths. This is not about saving the world. It is about surviving it and making sacrifices when it hurts the most. Expected release is 2026 on next-gen only. Death Stranding 2 On the Beach. Hideo Kojima returns with a sequel that is even stranger, heavier, and more emotional than the first. You once again step into the boots of Sam Porter Bridges, as he carries hope across a fractured world, but this time, the beach is changing. New storms twist space and time. Ghosts can now follow you into reality. Your cargo can become a living thing. The game adds new mechanics like collaborative shelters, enemy hijackings, and baby link memories where you must relive trauma to unlock paths. Vehicles are customizable. Rain corrodes everything faster. The terrain is unstable and some regions are inverting gravity. The story explores sacrifice extinction and what it means to carry others' pain. Graphics are built on Decima Engine 2 with photorealistic mud weather and emotional face detail. Kojima says it is about connecting in a world that no longer trusts anything. No firm date yet, but expected late 2025 or early 2026. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake. This is a full-scale remake of one of the most legendary RPGs ever made. Set thousands of years before the Skywalker era, KOTOR remake places you in the middle of a galactic war between Jedi and Sith, where your choices shape everything. The remake promises modern third-person combat, new animations, revoiced dialogue, and rebuilt environments using next-gen tech. Planets like Taras and Dantooine have been redesigned from the ground up with dynamic weather day-night cycles and living cities that react to your presence. Conversations have branching paths that lead to permanent consequences. Your companions still matter deeply, each with their own story quests and opinions on your actions. Lightsaber combat is faster with parries, force combos, and environmental destruction. Rumors say the moral system has been expanded and new endings are planned. The project faced delays, but leaks suggest it's still alive and targeting 2026. This is not just nostalgia. It's a test of whether one of gaming's most iconic stories can survive rebirth. Resident Evil 9 Requiem. Capcom is back with what may be the final chapter in the Winter's Saga. Resident Evil 9 is said to be set in a remote European island, where ancient bioweapons and occult rituals merge into something far more terrifying than zombies. Leaked concept art shows black-eyed villagers whispering in ruins with infected animals crawling through forests that feel alive. You play as a new character with ties to the BSAA hunting down the last remnants of the megamycete infection. The gameplay expands on RE8's formula with wider exploration, new inventory systems, and enemies that stalk you for hours before attacking. RE9 features semi-open world hubs with puzzle dungeons, dark caves, and full day-night cycles that change enemy behavior. Capcom teases that this game will close a trilogy of ideas starting with RE7, and it will also tie back to legacy characters. Launch is expected in early 2026. Splinter Cell Remake. The long-awaited return of Sam Fisher is not just a remaster. This is a full remake with modern stealth mechanics built from the ground up in Ubisoft's Snowdrop engine. The game recreates the original 2002 story where Sam is sent deep into enemy territory to stop a global cyber attack. You are alone, you have limited gear, and the shadows are your only weapon. Every movement matters. Noise is tracked, light must be shot out, guards remember the last place they saw you and adapt to your tactics. The remake introduces real-time ray, traced lighting, volumetric fog, and destructible environments. You can peek under doors, use drones mark targets, or leave no trace at all. Fans hope for full voice actor return and new side missions expanding Sam's backstory. It is not an action game, it is precision under pressure. And after a decade of silence, it is finally coming back. 2026 release expected. Metro 4. Metro returns with its darkest story yet. Set years after Exodus, the Russian wasteland is now fractured into warring microstates and deadly irradiated zones where mutated creatures evolve in real time. You play as a new survivor, not Artyom, who must navigate a crumbling rail network where every tunnel hides threats both human and inhuman. The game expands exploration with surface travel during sandstorms, nuclear ashfall, and acid rain that burns through your gas mask. Weapons are fully modular and can break mid-fight. You must scavenge, clean, and rebuild to survive. Choices matter. Factions remember what you did. Some may refuse you shelter. Others may hunt you across zones. The game runs on an enhanced 4A engine with realistic fire spread physics, radiation growth zones, and enemies that stalk you based on scent and heat. Metro 4 is survival horror at its core. No flashy heroes, just fear, grit, and a flickering flashlight. FABLE is back, and this time, it is being built by Playground Games using the same tech behind Forza Horizon. The world of Albion is being completely reimagined with dynamic forests, living towns, and NPCs that react to every choice you make. You play as a custom hero in a fairy tale kingdom, full of satire, danger, and moral chaos. Magic is real, choices matter, and actions leave scars. You can be kind, cruel, or something in between. If you steal from a farmer, he may later appear as a bandit. If you save a town, they build a statue in your name. The humor is still here, but now it sits under deep systems like real-time aging scars, deformities, and shifting alliances. Swordplay and magic are fluid with physics-driven animations and environment interaction. You can knock enemies into fires, drop trees on them, or summon ghosts from graves. This is not just a reboot, it is the return of British RPG charm sharpened by next-gen power. The DUSKBLOODS. The DUSKBLOODS is still shrouded in mystery, but insiders say it is a gritty, open-world fantasy game being developed by a group of veteran RPG designers under a new label. Set in a dying land cursed by eternal twilight, you play as one of the last DUSKBLOODS, a warrior born from ritual and sacrifice. You are feared, hunted, and powerful. The combat is brutal and rhythmic with dodge-parry mechanics tied to blood flow and stamina decay. The world reacts to your presence. Villagers whisper as you pass, animals avoid you, and children cry when they see your shadow. The story unfolds through memory echoes and hallucinations with lore buried in dreamlike side quests. The game includes dynamic factions, war fronts, and weather that affects monster behavior. Everything feels cursed, nothing forgives, and yet something inside you still fights to remember who you were before the blood took hold. Release window unconfirmed, but visually it already stuns. God of War Egypt. After Ragnarok, the Godslayer may be heading south. God of War Egypt is one of the most talked about unannounced sequels in gaming, with leaks suggesting that Kratos or Atreus will step into the lands of the Nile to confront ancient deities and forgotten magic. Rumors point to pyramids as massive dungeon zones, scarab swarms as enemies, and gods like Anubis and Ra redesigned with terrifying power. The setting is harsher, more divine, and more alien than Norse realms. The Leviathan axe may be replaced with a curved blade and solar magic. Themes will explore rebirth, sacrifice, and divine balance. Enemies no longer just die, they linger in spirit. The environment is open and layered with traps, puzzles, and battles built into temples and ruins. The myth is deeper. Half-Life 3. This is the game that became myth. Half-Life 3 is rumored to be real and in late-stage development within Valve, with sources saying it is built in Source 2 and uses real-time physics more advanced than anything before. You play as Gordon Freeman again, silent, focused, but now hunted by the remnants of the Combine and something worse. The story picks up after Half-Life Alyx and brings together VR tech spatial puzzles and brutal gunplay that adapts to how you move. Weapons can jam. Gravity is a mechanic, not a gimmick. Every object matters. AI reacts to your body language, and physics are part of enemy behavior. Nothing is scripted. It is all simulated. Level design is non-linear, with urban decay, toxic ruins, and alien-infested zones shifting in real time. Nothing has been confirmed officially, but insiders claim a reveal may happen before 2027. If it drops, the internet will break. The Elder Scrolls 6, HAMMERFELL. The Elder Scrolls 6 is still far away, but Bethesda confirmed it is in active development and running on Creation Engine 2, the same tech used in Starfield, but upgraded for fantasy detail. The game is rumored to be set in HAMMERFELL, a sun-scorched desert land full of ancient ruins, lost cities, and political conflict between Redguard houses. The world will be massive, handcrafted, and reactive. Players can build their own homes, form alliances with factions, and lead armies across the sands. Weather changes are real. Storms bury roads. Sand eats villages. Magic is wild again and tied to old bloodlines. Dialogue is more dynamic. Quests are flexible. You can be a thief, a warrior, a necromancer, or a mix of all three. Towns grow and fall based on your actions. Enemies learn from your combat style and adapt. This is not just Skyrim with better graphics. This is the future of open-world RPGs, where you are not the center of the world, just someone who dared to shape it. Grand Theft Auto 6. GTA 6 is officially confirmed and already breaking the internet with its early leaks and announcements. The game takes place in Vice City, reimagined as a massive living map that changes over time, with in-game social media, a dynamic economy, and a world that feels truly alive. You play as two characters, a man and a woman caught in a modern criminal rise set against economic collapse, cartels, and personal survival. The game includes real-time traffic patterns, destructible interiors, heists with moving parts, and NPCs who remember you across the entire story. There is no menu map. You pull out your phone. Side hustles now grow into empires or collapse into prison sentences. Weather affects driving and crime response. Cops learn your patterns. The game world is always watching. Rockstar says this is the most ambitious open-world game they have ever built. And if the trailer is any indication, they mean it. The Witcher 4. The Witcher 4 marks the beginning of a brand new saga and leaves Geralt behind to focus on Ciri as the new playable lead. Built on Unreal Engine 5, the game already stunned fans with a tech demo showing Ciri galloping through the snow-covered lands of Kovir, where NPCs reacted to her presence and creatures attacked dynamically during a snowstorm. The game promises a more open, non-linear narrative, grounded in consequence and fate. Combat is rebuilt. Magic is wilder and more chaotic. The world is more dangerous and untamed. Choices will ripple across kingdoms, not just towns. Each region has its own culture, language, and rule system. There are no clear villains, only survivors, liars, and legends. The soundtrack blends Slavic vocals with industrial tones. CDPR is building this as the foundation of a trilogy where series path may destroy or save entire bloodlines. The release is far off, likely 2027 or later. But from what we've seen, this is not just a return, it is a reckoning.